All right. Is it going? We are live. Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. I'm so excited to start the week. Like, I woke up this morning in a really great mood. It was like 4:45 in the morning. So I've gotten a lot of work already done this morning, a lot of self-work. You know, we do our self-love work in the morning. And I'm super happy to be here this morning with one of our members that we spotlight every Monday morning. And this is Suzanne Poole. Suzanne, say hello to all of your fellow community members at Lead Up for Women.
Hello, Lead Up for Women. It's great to be here. I'm so happy. I have to tell you, it's not 9 o'clock in the morning where I am. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon where I am. But
we should say, yeah, you've already had your whole Monday.
Yeah, we've had our day. I'm in London. It's afternoon. It's like nearly knocking off time. But hello, it's great to be here, and it's great to be with you, Colleen. Thanks for having me.
It's great to start the week like this. You guys are going to see Suzanne a little bit later. She's staying up super late tonight to join us on a special edition and episode of our podcast because I'm going to be on a plane Wednesday. So we can't record the podcast on Wednesday. So Suzanne is joining us today on the podcast, and we're going to be talking more about discipline like we're talking about this morning, but really digging into deeper subjects on that. So Suzanne, I know you just wrote a book. You've accomplished so much in your life, but today we're going to hear about your life a little bit later on the podcast. But today, what I want to really spotlight for the women that are joining us is discipline. Why is discipline so important in our everyday lives?
Oh, thanks. That is a great question, Colleen. So here's the thing. Discipline is like this little secret that is the key I found to everything that I want in my life, but like nobody ever tells you about it. It's like, and I don't mean discipline like being enforced by other people. I mean, literally, it's like I make a promise to myself and I keep it. And you were saying about getting up 4:45 in the morning, doing all that kind of self-care, like those habits like journaling, exercise, drinking the hot water with lemon and ginger, like all those. I do all those things as well, by the way, and I get up at 4:45 in the morning, meditating too. So like those promises that you make to yourself and then you keep them day in, day out. That's what I mean by discipline. And that is what I found is the most effective way for elevating our self-esteem, keeping going in those projects when it looks like we're pushing a boulder up a hill and we don't know where we're going, but we know that there is a breakthrough coming and everything that we want is just on the other side of that hill. And the key to accomplishing that and finding what it is that you want is having the discipline to keep going.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, so go on.
No, you go ahead and go finish.
Yeah, so for myself, as you said, like I've accomplished a lot and we're going to talk later. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it's, you know, I wrote, so I'm just publishing a new book called Discipline. So this is really like my favorite subject. And in particular, I talk about how being disciplined makes us feel better about ourselves in our body image, in our peace of mind, in ourself, which leads to better relationships. So one of the things that I talk about is how we get our sexy back, like how we feel better in the bedroom and can ask for what it is that we want. And it comes with being disciplined. It comes with being clear about what it is that we want and asking for it. And then not settling for anything less than that. Because let's face it.
Yeah. That's what I want to talk about. Why are we settling? All right, ladies. So I just want you to take an inventory of your life very quickly. Just close your eyes and think, what am I tolerating? What am I settling for in my life? Really, those are the two things. And why don't we take care of ourselves every day? Why don't we say no to certain appointments and do things that we want to do? We only have one life, Suzanne. And your life can get cut short very quickly. And something can stop you in your tracks, which I know you've had many things that have like stopped you in your tracks or really have you opened up your eyes and turned you in a different direction. That's right. I want to ask the ladies that are listening, really let this sink in. What are you tolerating? Why aren't you treating yourself and being disciplined for things that you want and you need in your life? What is the hurdle? What is stopping you? Is it because you don't feel you're worth it? That you don't feel like you deserve it? Like, that's a bunch of crap. I'm just going to say that.
Hey, woman,
right,
sister.
Yeah.
That's right. Colleen, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, because we, you know, everything that we want is available, and everything that we are and really the thing that makes the difference is getting ourselves out of the way of experiencing it. So, and it is like, what is it that you want and that you know that you deserve and that you can go for, and have the discipline to take the consistent action over time. So,
Mhm.
you know, for me, like, one of the things that I've been wrestling with for myself very recently, like right now, is I always wanted to love running. I hate running. Well, I don't hate running now. I hated running. Running was uncomfortable. It was sweaty. It's painful. I live in North London, and if you've ever been to North London, I don't know, because most of you are in the States, I'm aware, but like, there's a very large park quite near where I live, but it's incredibly hilly with some of the steepest hills that we have in the whole of London. And I was like, I just want to be able to run around Hampstead Heath, but it was agony. So I set myself a goal to be able to run a mile a day for 90 days. And I'm now on day 111. And about 10 days ago, so about 100 days in, I suddenly realized that I was enjoying running. And I was stunned. I was like, I'm enjoying this. How is that possible? And that's really the delight that I find in the discipline, is that it starts out difficult. It takes energy, it takes commitment, it takes deliberate deliberate action, like intention, to make that happen. But there is a point at which where you have been consistent in asking for what it is that you want and fulfilling that it starts being fun. And
And
it's like,
what was your life like 100 and you said 111 days ago? What was your life like 111 days ago?
well, I was like, well, so I was like, how, okay, I'm just gonna start running, because like it, well, I ran, but it was painful. I dreaded it.
Mhm.
It was a moment of dread. It was like, oh, it was, and I would actively do things to avoid running. Like, you
Mhm.
know, I would be like, oh, I'm gonna stay, you know, I'm gonna stay in bed. And then I would use it as a way, that would then become a way to beat myself up. It's like, oh, I was supposed to go running, but it was like I didn't feel like it. And now I'm like lazy, and I'm just, you know, so it became a way to hurt myself.
You're making amazing points right now. How many of us out there create agony in our lives or create hurdles that purposely, they don't exist, by the way. We create them in our minds and then we punish ourselves for them, when really no one was holding Suzanne accountable but herself. No one even knew. And she said, I'm going to do this 90-day running, a mile a day. She didn't put on herself what day, time of the day she needed to do it. It's just that she wanted to get it done. She didn't say that she couldn't walk during it. There was, no stipulations on that. All she had to do was get the mile in, right? That's what she had to do every day. And isn't it amazing the pressure that we put on ourselves and the agony that we put on ourselves, when if we just follow this simple rule of self-discipline and say, I'm going to commit to this for me because I deserve it and I'm worth it. My health is worth it. My body
Exactly.
is worth it. My heart is worth it. My lungs are worth it. Like, everything that I have and possess in my body is worth me taking care of myself, or me disciplining to do something that I'm committing to do.
That, you're so right, Colleen. And here's the thing, that the thing that I've realized out in doing that, and it's not the first time that I've done a challenge like that. So there were a couple of things that really made a difference for me in fulfilling that. One is that I said for 90 days. Now, I said earlier I'm on day 111. So I kept going, but I didn't have to keep going. It was like it was a finite amount of time, and I kept going because by the time I got to the 90 days, it was something that made me feel better about myself, made me feel healthier. It has definitely changed my body shape, although it hasn't changed my weight, interestingly. But it's been, and what I've realized, and it's not just in this last 3 months that I've been running, but it's like it's happened many times when I've accomplished something, is that it was just, the most important thing was about fulfilling and accountability to myself.
Mhm.
Because who else is there really? Like, again, it's like who better, You know,
Nobody's coming. We talk about this all the time.
exactly.
If you don't give yourself permission to live the life you desire and do what it is that you want to do, like you talked about. I know your book has a lot about sexual pleasures and talks about, you know, when you're married or not married, or, you know, I look at so many women I know that are married. Are you enjoying your marriage? You know, are there sparks and flames and hot nights or whatever you want to call it? It could be very embarrassing for people to speak about, but what are the number two things that pull marriages apart? It's generally has to do with sex and has to do with money.
That's right.
Those are generally the two things that pull a marriage apart, right?
And the common denominator in both of those examples, and by the way, sex and money are completely, like, very related, by the way, but that's a whole different subject. But it's like what it comes down to is communication, and which goes back to what we've been talking about at the beginning. If you don't know what you want, then there's no, it's almost impossible to be able to communicate what it is that you desire, what it is that you want in your relationship, what it is that you want to experience. And then your partner has no way of knowing how to satisfy you. You don't have any way of knowing how to satisfy your partner, and the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But communication only comes about when we're clear about what it is that is important to us. When we're communicating with ourselves, when we're communicating with our hearts and our guts. And for me, I love that we now talk about, like, what does our gut tell us? Because really, like, the lower down that we get in our bodies, and I do mean, like, all the way down, the lower that we get in our bodies and in understanding what satisfies us, what fulfills us, what we know we want in our lives, what experiences we want in our lives, the more joy, the more love, the more happiness that we experience, the more abundance there is in life, and the more the greater the level of fulfillment and fun that there is in life.
Yeah.
And let's face it, with everything that's happening in the world right now, that is definitely something that is missing.
Yes, and it's something we have complete control over. So if you guys are wanting to understand what Suzanne just said about how sex equates directly to money, then I want you to join me at 3 p.m. today, Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 o'clock, I think, for Suzanne. She's going to be joining us late night tonight, but 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I want you all to join me. Yep. I want you all to join me live, because we're going to talk about how you can, we talk about manifestation, we talk about focusing and goals, and really just focusing and putting gazelle-like intensity on those goals that you have and bringing what it is that you want to fruition. Here is another way that's directly related to blocks that we don't even know we're putting up on the abundance that we're wanting to receive. So we're going to be talking about more of that later, but until then, I really want you to focus on today. What are you tolerating? What hurdles are you creating yourself? And why aren't you disciplined enough for you? Why do you feel like you're not worth it and can't be disciplined for something that's going to change your life like Suzanne has changed hers? It's amazing when we watch it from afar, right, Suzanne? Oh, you've accomplished all these goals. Congratulations. This is your second book, by the way. It's amazing that you've been able to accomplish this. Anyone can do it. Anyone can get out there and run a mile a day for 90 days.
That's right.
You can walk fast for a mile for 90 days.
I started with walking.
You just have to start. You just have to start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is all about starting. That's right.
You're worth it. You're absolutely worth it.
Completely. And I did not start running. I started with walking.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I write about in the book is over the last 3 years, I've lost 90 pounds in weight, which is, at least 30% of my body weight now. So, so it's like, less than 30, more than 30%. So I've lost, but I started with walking, and it started with, I'm just going to walk for 45. And I didn't care how fast it was. It was just making sure that I got out of the house every day. And I was really stunned by, first of all, the accomplishment that I felt when I did that, but also it was more than just a physical experience. It had an
Mhm.
emotional impact, a spiritual impact. It created mental clarity. So, but it came in being consistent, and this is
Yeah.
why discipline is the key.
Yeah,
Um,
you're absolutely a different person today than you were 111 days ago.
that's right, most
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
most
So if we
definitely.
want to change our surroundings and you want more abundance and you want to have a different life and you want it to look different, get off of your ass and go do it.
That's right.
Create the
Take
life
the
you
action.
desire. That's really
Exactly.
all I can tell you. It's not about the outside circumstances, it's about your choices that you make and how you apply yourself and how you discipline yourself. Yeah.
That's right.
I love today's discipline word. It's great. I'm just going to use it all day. I'm coining
It's
it
the
for
word
the
of the
day.
day.
All right, ladies. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Ladies,
you.
get some discipline in your life. This is
Looking forward to
amazing.
hearing about what you're taking on. It's great to be with you, Colleen. Thank
Yes,
you.
and we're going to be here later today at 3 o'clock, and I will be interviewing Suzanne on our podcast for this week. That'll go live later this week. So please join us if you want to listen in on that too. So Suzanne, thank you for being with us today. Have a
Thanks,
wonderful
Colleen.
week,
Lovely to see
ladies.
you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.